Hello, beautiful humans. Welcome back to another episode of Naked Sunday. And I am your host, Caleb Nelson. And I am joined with my beautiful wife, Mrs. Lexi Nelson. She is our first repeat guest. Perhaps I've been slowly nudging her into the idea of doing another podcast, a side podcast. So as you can already see the look right there, it's going to be a long haul to get what I want out of that one, but we'll see. I'm just planning this. I'm getting a second one.
Take it.
And I could not be more grateful to have my better half joining me today for all of this stuff. So thank you, my love, for being here, sharing this experience with me.
Anytime, sunshine.
Well, you got to speak up a little bit too.
Anytime.
She's whispering. So forgetting that we got to be recorded here. So today we're going to start off with what I've now developed into my little intro. And I don't know if you've been listening, because we all know that the reality is my wife does not listen to these podcasts.
I do not.
Because she gets I
get the live version.
She gets the live version.
Every day of my life.
Every day of her life. We'll probably have Tyson joining us here in a second, because he, of course, doesn't want to be left out of
Come on, bud.
The fray. Come here, bud. Join mommy and daddy up on the couch.
His head.
There we go. It's a full fam jam. There you go. If you were listening, you probably wanted to just turn on your screen for a second. I got the full fam jam.
All
right. So I start off all my episodes with why I appreciate my guest, for those of us who've been following along.
Oh,
so to you, my love.
That's very nice.
Yeah, it is a nice thing, isn't it? Listen to this. Maybe she should have been paying attention all along. So with that, I share why I appreciate my guest, because I believe we need to start telling each other why we love each other. And that's going to be really in an effort towards this whole thing I call world peace. Because when we know and love each other, things get better. With that in mind, I love you because you believe in me, and you have challenged me to become a better man, and you constantly challenging me to rise to my potential. And
you're gonna cry in your own podcast.
Maybe I will cry in my own podcast, whatever. We know that I'm the ones with more of the feelings in this episode.
I cried yesterday, so
you did cry yesterday.
Tapped out for the week.
Tapped out with no more tears?
Yeah, nope, we're good.
Oh, we'll see where that goes.
Wrung out.
But I could not have chosen a better partner to go through this life with. And you know already that I believe immensely in you and what you're capable of. So I find great value in just being able to support you. So thank you for being you. And I'm excited for the rest of the life we get to share together.
Thanks. Thank God we didn't have a wedding with vows, because I don't think I could take it seriously. I think I would just laugh the whole time.
You got to speak up a little louder.
I am talking as loud as I turn your microphone up.
It is loud. Let's go into it.
Okay.
You are our second.
This is why we don't.
This is why we apparently don't do podcasts, because the things I share.
To be quiet.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
But I'll make sure people know.
Hmm.
For those of us who don't know, because people hear me talk about who you are, they know about you. They know that I'm married and I have this wonderful human being who walks by my side.
Mm-hmm.
How about you share with the audience who you are? Who is Lexi
I
Nelson?
already shared that in the first podcast, so they have to go back and listen.
Well, we're here now. We're going to make it easier on the audience so that they don't have to do that. So
I thought this was going to be a fun game show.
We're going to have fun stuff. Let's get into it right now, though. People got to know who you are.
Lexi Nelson, your wife. I went through a lot of rounds of interviews this summer, so I'm done of talking about myself.
Yeah, I hope everybody's just getting an easy glimpse into my life now. Let's make note of this. Lexi didn't tap into her feelings or cry before me, and now
it's true.
It's changed.
That's true.
How about this then?
Okay.
Let's take yourself. Detail the journey of how we've gotten here together as a relationship from your vantage point.
So 10 years ago?
Sure, wherever you want to start.
What do you mean?
How have you observed this relationship unfold since the beginning?
Well, I feel like looking back now, we were like little babies when we first met. Even you were 6 years older. So at the time I had thought you were this much older human being who had all of his shit together. Are you allowed to curse?
Yes.
Okay. Turns out you did not have any shit together. But I don't really know where I was going to go with that. I just feel like we've gone through so many like seasons, if you will, of different ups and downs. We fight very hard. We're either like loving each other or about to kill each other. And we're very opposite in most things, except food. We're pretty similar on food.
Okay.
Well, and we have the same values, like the foundation that we both share, values wise, we're solid. But I have taken like a very traditional route in my career, whereas like you're more in like fairy tale land sometimes. Like I don't really know where you are. So, and it's not a bad thing, but like it's just your entrepreneurship. Whereas I'm like, no, I know what I'm doing. And I'm like, I've got my path, I've got the guide. But that's what I wanted to do though, too. So we're very opposite. And I think we've had to come and grow to appreciate each other's strengths and weaknesses, I would say.
Mm.
Do you agree?
It's your observation, my love.
Yeah, that's my observation.
Okay. So what was your biggest struggle in coming to understand the differences between us?
Probably just my type A personality of like it has to be one way. And like the one way is going to be the successful way. And realizing through our journey together and your success, like there are more than one, there's more than one way.
Mm.
I don't think I even knew, like I knew what an entrepreneur was prior to you, but I don't think I knew really what it was. Like you knew the definition, right? But like seeing you go through the whole process through gyms, through online coaching, through transitioning gyms and businesses and how you're running your gym, it's a lot more than I think people would anticipate. And that's coming from someone who like had a program being talked about entrepreneurs in the classroom. I didn't teach it, but like people would come in and talk about it. I'd be like, yeah, it's so much more than just like the little things that they even talk about.
Mm.
What was your question?
Well, how did you have to come to terms with that?
Oh, right. So just knowing that there's, I guess, coming to terms and letting go of a little bit of control. I'm still controlling for sure.
Well, I think what you're bringing up here is something that most people don't understand, the difference in the dynamics of a relationship. You brought up one thing before, is like we fight hard. There's a lot of people who think, okay, here's Lexi and Caleb. They take some nice pictures online and it's like all rainbows and butterflies.
Our close friends, the Ian Hogans of the world, have had to save us a few times from save us earlier on, but like talk you down and mostly tell Caleb why he was wrong. And that's not wrong. Ian can back me up. But yes, our close friends would know that we do, and we do fight. But it's not, I don't want to say it's fight like I hate you, I never want to see you again, but it's just I feel like we have had very different upbringings as well. And different ideas of what success looks like, different wants. We have not been aligned on what we want for like the future. I mean, we are now, but it took a long time to get there. And compromise. It took a lot of compromise too.
Let's go through that because I don't think that enough people actually confront that.
Confront which part?
Sitting down and talking with their significant other about the real of what you really want and what you really stand for. Because in my estimation, a lot of some of our deeper frictions was right before we made big decisions, whether it was me pivoting with the business stuff or us just me thinking about proposing to you, or where we're going to go with our relationship. The past few years has been a big challenge for the two of us. The you going the next step in your career. Talk about what it's been like for you, because I don't think enough people, a lot of people, like the person who's the business owner or something like that, that person gets a lot of the accolades and things like that. But I don't think people understand, and that's a big reason why I give you a lot of compliments and a lot of praise, is that I've come to accept that my energy is challenging to house that. And it takes somebody who's of equal strength to know how to hold and be a part of that. So let's talk a little bit about what you've seen maybe in our process of getting closer and getting more aligned on what we value and what we and how we where we're going as a couple.
I think COVID was probably the first. Okay, so we had been married for 2 years before COVID. No, 1 year. 1 year before COVID, but together like 7, 6, 7, something like that. And I think there was a lot of friction between us because I wanted certain things faster, and you were more patient with getting those things. But I think COVID was the first time, because we had more time on our hands, that I remember going through like what exactly my values were, and they ended up aligning with yours, but I had to do that journey on my own. And I thought about everything I hated, and it was like, okay, so I'm the opposite. And I still remember like running into the bedroom being like, I hate when people don't use manners. Like, that is a huge pet peeve. Say please and fucking thank you. I hate it. You said I could curse.
You can.
Oh. Well, then why
I wasn't anticipating that.
Hold the door open for people. Like, say good morning. I hate when people don't use manners. And what was that one? Respect. Right. So I remember like running into the bedroom and being like, I hate this. So it was like the one value was the opposite of that. Okay, what's the opposite? So that worked for me. But I think COVID really, we didn't like, I had to work from home, obviously virtually, and so did you. But there was a lot more time on our hands where we could start to get more aligned. So I would say COVID was a starting point for that. You also drove me crazy during COVID. And I was like, I can't look at him anymore or like hear his voice. He's driving me crazy. But I'm sure that was most significant others. Hi.
Well, and you know me, I tend to look at the glass half full in every situation.
Yeah.
And I also tend to do very well in chaos. And I'm used to just changing all the time, because that's the nature of business. You need to learn how to adapt, or your business fails. You won't be able to continue to play the game anymore. So I think for you, somebody who craves structure, craves the routine, where essentially somebody else lays that out for you. That was the first time you were left with, and you're used to having the summer off.
Yeah.
There's a defined, this is going to come to an end, and you knew when to predict it, and it was what it was.
And I always found summer jobs.
And you always had summer jobs. You found ways to do it.
I mean, I found a way to work through COVID. I made a routine for myself, but that was a very challenging time. Yes.
The point I'm looking to make, it was the first time, and I think this is also for a lot of people, you had the space to have that you could sit with your thoughts.
Yeah.
Not to mention you're married to a guy who, if it's not already at the surface,
let's bring it there.
We're going to bring it there, and we're going to confront that.
Yeah.
And I know for myself, because we were considering moving, we were considering what's the next step, what we were going to do with the business. Eventually we ended up closing that facility.
Yeah.
I know for myself, it was now preparing myself for the next stage in my life, and where were we going to go as a couple. And definitely in a different energy for myself of, I'm good on me, but how are we doing this together? And I think I told you, excuse me, earlier on, one of my biggest fears in our relationship was we were both young, but you were much younger than I, and you'd never been in your adult life. You never moved away from home without your family. You never went off to college by yourself. all those things. My concern was, do you know who you are without me?
Yeah.
And I know that part of probably my insistence on bringing up things like core values and direction is that the pressure I would apply is because if we didn't get those answers, we would be left and we weren't aligned. I know that eventually, because I'd seen it down the line, you and I were going to run into to come into an impasse, and it probably was gonna fail. So I know for me it was very difficult to put the pressure on with that because we were in the time and we had the space to do it. Hindsight 2020, I'm very happy we did, but the I know it was challenging for you. And I think that that's difficult to receive that. What was it like as the recipient of that type of energy?
Yours?
Sure.
I've told you this before, and I've done this to you too, because we're both very much people pleasers, I would say. As in, we want to go out into our communities and we want to take care of people. That's what I mean as a people pleaser. And sometimes it was like you left the rest of yourself was like the worst version when you got home, and vice versa. I did the same thing because you would put all this energy into the people, especially when you have the gym, into all these different people. And then when he got home, it'd be like, oh, okay, now Caleb is strung out. He's tired. He had a 12-hour day and I'm getting the shit under the stick. But I've done the same thing to you when I've been in certain roles and going through different life stages and having 10 jobs at once. It feels like not literally 10 jobs, but I've had like 3 at a time. So probably just sometimes it felt like you make your significant other feel not valued anymore because you're leaving the worst of yourself for them at the end of the day when you should be giving like the best of yourself. I just saw something. I told you this. It was like always outserve your other, your partner's significant other. I was like, wow, that's a really interesting way because you outserve when you first start dating, right? You want to impress, you want to do all the nice things. I brought him coffee all the time. It was like, why do you stop that? Because you get comfortable. And then it's like, okay, you know the person's going to be there. But I don't know. I found that very eye-opening. Like always outserve. Okay. Like that's an easy thing to do.
Well, something else I was noticing in that was that you were also not leaving time for yourself. And that's where when you started to bring out respect as a core value, which obviously is aligned as our first of our core values as a family.
Yeah.
How did you see, because you brought up the countless number of jobs you were carrying all at the same time. I would always challenge you with how you were valuing your time.
Mm-hmm.
Where did that lead to with some of those adjustments around that?
What do you mean?
How did you start? What I saw with you not valuing your time, I also saw you not valuing your need to restore yourself, to take care of yourself, your mental, emotional, physical well-being. Because I felt it also because you weren't good with you, that I was going to get Ty, come here, buddy. You were going to give me, because you weren't okay with you were not giving me the best version of yourself. And I was really hoping to identify those things so you could see, oh, you're not being congruent with that. And it wasn't, yes, I want the best version of you too. But I know deep down for me, it was hurting me to watch you put yourself through so much pain and not value yourself.
Value my time, you mean?
Time, energy, yes, everything.
So, okay. So one big difference between you and I, and Ian brought this up to us when he helped us like sort out our finances for the first time together. And he was like, Lexi will just be like, oh, we need something. Like, let's just go make more money. Like, I'll go work something and make more money. Like, that's Lexi's way of doing things. Whereas Caleb is like, let me just get a better offer and I'll sell something better. But yours takes more time. Whereas mine's like, I'll go do it like tomorrow. And I think that's where we differ because yes, I was giving up a lot of my time, but it was solving a problem in my head during that time. So like one example is the restaurant. I started during like 2020 of summer, but it was because we were home for a little bit. I was like, let me just try this serving thing. I made great money and I was out like talking to people after being home for so long, but I kept it going and I'm like still on the app. Like I could still pick up a shift if I wanted to. I'm having some busy, but I could. But like that was solving a problem in my head at the time and like keeping me busy during the summers. So I feel like yes, it might have taken my physical self, but in my head, I was solving a problem that was going to relieve stress of something else. Does that make sense?
It does. What shifted for you to realize how that was also potentially negatively affecting things?
Probably just being strung out and tired. But I don't feel like most people see that because I can like keep my shit together most of the time, but then I come home and that's when you get the brunt of it because I'm tired and I just want to go to bed or whatever. It's what he does during podcasts.
For those who don't know, Ty is off in the corner right now,
Staring.
mostly hoping to get our attention. He'll probably get somebody's attention.
I think he's hot. We had to turn the air off for those.
Top boy summer over there for him for the end of it. So how did you start to reframe how you were looking at valuing your time?
I don't know if I've reframed it.
Hmm.
I just have two more important jobs that I care about doing well in and value. And so like that's going to take up my time. Not that I didn't have a job before that I didn't value, but because I've advanced in my career, I'm now making a little bit more money. So I don't have to worry about, not that I have to worry, but I don't feel like I need to make up an extra.
So I think for people to hear at home how I hear that, and this I think is great for people to hear the difference. You have become more valuable individually and you can solve a bigger problem with one thing.
Yeah.
Whereas beforehand, in less time, in
Yeah.
the same amount of time that it was just taking you one of your jobs before. What was happening beforehand is her energy was split in 4 or 5 different places to do, we'll call it more ticky-tacky things. Not bad, not good, just different. And it solved the problem in her head at that specific time. But I know many times we sat down and I was like, this is actually how much you're making per hour after you're traveling, paying gas, your time. And then because what I would also see is the burnout cycle would be, oh, I'm going to go quickly spend all the money I just made on some quick like dining out experience or whatever it was, mostly just to relieve the stress that you quickly had accumulated on your body and your mind. Not least of which it still would come home and we'd still have that friction that we'd still have to go through of, hey, are we going the same direction? That's what I wanted to share with people so they could actually hear that. That was the difference in how we were both looking at the problem. And I think most people struggle breaking away from trading your time for money.
Yeah.
Cool.
But I just think that's still where we differ. Like you think about it in terms of like your time. I don't ever like consider, I mean, sometimes I consider if like I'm tired and don't want to go or I have something else I want to do. But I don't like the switch doesn't click that way for me.
That takes a long time to break through.
Sure.
Most people, it takes a long time to think about the problem you solve. Like that solution is more valuable and it can be, and if you can do that in less time, that makes you more valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas most people, and you use the people pleasing term beforehand. When I hear that, I hear somebody playing savior. It is required that I am there for every step of this process for this job to get done, as opposed to what's the singular part of my role to accomplish the outcome. That's just 2 different ways to think about it. And I think what most entrepreneurs eventually come to is, as opposed to charging for an appointment, you start charging for a solution. That is very specific, and it's how you can start to identify your expertise. Because if you truly understand something, you're solving a problem that on the back end is going to cost somebody a lot more. There's a classic story, and maybe you've heard this before. There's a story of it's a guy at a shipyard. There's a company that they have a shipyard, and there's this massive ship that has some groaning sound on the motor or something like that. They call in this technician. He wanders around. He knocks on a couple things here, knocks on a couple things there. And then all of a sudden he takes one hammer and then strikes one little spot. And the sound goes away. He sends them a bill and it's like $15,000 or something like that. And they're like, why? It took you no time at all. That was like 5 seconds of work. And all you did was strike the hammer in one spot. He goes, it cost you this amount of time for this, but it's the knowledge of knowing where to strike the hammer is what it's actually costing you. All the time, the years. The guy was like 30. I think that's the story goes. Is like he's got 30 years of experience. He knows exactly where to strike. So you're not wasting time, energy, and effort. And what would that cost a company if that ship wasn't working or something like that? Probably hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it's actually a deal to go hire the expert. That's very difficult to break your mind away from, oh, it took me 30 seconds to do something that realistically you're probably just so good at. You don't see how somebody else, it would take them ages to be able to come to the same conclusion you did. That's the difference in expertise. So those are my thoughts on that. I wanted to share that with you. Long lecture. If you're wondering the kind of lectures she gets at the house, these are of that
Just
nature.
start like staring. My eyes go glassy.
Yeah. Starts to glaze over. How do you feel now, though, now that you've defined your core values?
Good, because I know what I will accept and will not accept in life.
Yeah.
With people I surround myself with, my job, you, just anyone.
So now you have better defined boundaries because of it?
Yeah.
And you find it's easier for you to start to communicate and what you need and what your roles and responsibilities are with people?
Yeah. And who I want to surround myself with.
Do you have any indicators when you notice that things are out of alignment with your core values? Come here, bud. She's just watching and growling in the background.
I love it.
You can continue to share your story.
I love when Tyson growls. He's so cute. So cute. He's running away. He's like, put the air on, Dad. Hot. Hi, pumpkin.
You gonna share your story?
Oh, hi. Well, how do I feel if I'm not aligned?
Yeah. How do you notice? What are like some of the indicators you notice in your body, your mind, your energy? How can you be like, oh, things are out of alignment?
With my core values?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like if I'm surrounding myself with people that I'm not, is that what you mean?
Yeah. When you feel like things are not going right, what do you notice?
I'm just getting a little glimpse what happens with Tyson and Caleb on every podcast. I don't know that I don't know that I have like an indicator for my core values. I feel like I have indicators when I'm just not happy with something.
Okay, what are those?
I'm usually just grumpy. And I'm in my head a lot. I don't really like to share out. I like to internalize. So if I feel like I'm thinking a lot about one particular thing, I feel like I just really get grumpy. I feel like it's like a physical.
Where do you feel it physically?
Probably like in my chest. I don't want to say anxiety because I don't have anxiety. But I do feel like the weight on my shoulders, probably tension in my shoulders. But I don't really know what you mean by the core value part.
So
I need an example.
No, that was an example. What most people don't realize is that your body it's like a tuning fork. when things are out of alignment, it's going to speak to you. So
maybe I've done a good job staying in alignment.
Perhaps. But shifts in your energy, shifts in pain, shifts in your mental clarity, things of that nature, those or even using when certain emotions come up, when you start to feel maybe anger or resentment, things like that, that's an indicator that there's friction in a relationship with yourself or with somebody else that is not aligned with your core values. So for you, it's sounding like carrying the weight of the world. Maybe that's your tendency. You're carrying everybody else's burdens, feeling guilty about, whatever, holding everybody else's idea of success. It's thinking it's all on you. Well, that's not aligned with the reality. Like, you're not respecting yourself. Also, another reason why we usually don't do podcasts together is because she gets quite distracted by just the dog. I see him. He is something else.
He's falling off the couch and growling.
Let's do this. Let's pivot for a minute.
Okay.
Because you wanted something a little more fun, a little more.
Yeah, you're going deep. I thought this was being a fun thing.
Fun is a relative term.
Caleb's fun is deep conversation. Lexi's fun is games.
Let's share this. What sports or activities, creative activities, so some people say like dance or something like that. What sports and activities did you participate with when you were younger, and how did you play them? Like, were they team sports? What type of, like, were you the captain? What was your style of play?
What was my style of play? Just for sports?
Sure. We're talking about sports.
Okay. Cheerleading was the main one. So team-based.
Tyson, come here, bud.
Take a breath. You might get views just from him growling in the background.
Maybe.
What's wrong, Pumpkin? Go play. Go lay on the tile. That's cool. Okay. So competitive cheerleading. So for like an all-star team, which essentially just means like a club team. Obviously not a club. They don't call it a club, but similar concept where it was like a membership fee. You had to try out, and then if you got a spot, you paid. So team-based, I guess everything has been team-based for me. I've always been on a team, except for like taking tumbling classes, which was just to enhance yourself as a cheerleader on your team.
What kind of, I'm not super familiar with all like the positions or the roles and responsibilities in that. How did that type of position, and obviously it was a team sport, but how have you seen the way you played that game translate into the way you are go about your professional life and your career?
Okay, well, cheerleader, I cheer people on, I'd say. I'm probably just like a team player altogether. So that's probably what has influenced maybe that I like being part of a team. So like teams in teaching, like you're on a teaching team with other teachers. When I've done like CrossFit competitions, never would do a solo one because why would I do that? But I like doing the fun team ones. I guess you want to do better because of your team or for your team. So, and teaching is very collaborative, so is cheerleading. Is that what you're getting at?
It's however you want to express that thought.
Well, is that what your question is?
It's however you take the question, my love. That's why it's supposed to be fun.
This is fun? Do you give all your guests these questions?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So what do they say?
They make the answer far less challenging to get out. Well, if anybody wants to know how I've gotten to be better as a coach, it's because coaching my wife has been a profound exercise in patience.
You're welcome.
Yeah, exactly. So the idea behind that, in college, took a class that was basically on play.
I thought you were going to say cheer, and I was like, how have I not heard about this?
Absolutely not. I never took a class in cheer. I would
Couldn't
probably
handle it
have
anyway. Your back would hurt.
trash talk is real. I would. Cortland is one of the best in the nation, if not worldwide.
Still?
Yes, in physical education.
I'm just asking, is that outdated or base?
I don't know why there's a judgment around it, but it's been renowned.
I've heard this from so many Cortland people, but
It is truly one of the.
Okay, but like still.
Last I heard, yes. At least when I was.
Wait, what does Joe Rogan do with Jamie? Can we get a check?
Can we fact check it? Sure. So, God forbid people call it gym teacher. There was no
PE teacher.
Very serious about that. But I took
Shout out to all my PE teachers. They're all my faves.
The class was one of the first times I was ever confronted with play. And I think you know this about me. I actually struggle with freeform play and creativity. Yes.
I'm just imagining you as a child. All right.
I like to have a game and like a sport, and I want to know the rules and I want to win. That if there's no points, that was very difficult for me to wrap my head
What
around.
game doesn't have points?
Dance or anything creative or any like
cheerleading has points.
My point exactly. It didn't attract me as a sport.
Oh, okay. That's how we're circling back to that.
I'm bringing up play. So free form play essentially is where creative expression lies. And I didn't realize how powerful that with the concept they were bringing up, especially physically. So I asked that question because understanding how people play when they're younger is often how they are actually expressing it in their professional life. So I'll use my examples. I played lacrosse and I played football. We'll use lacrosse. Just traditionally, the roles I played on teams, I tended to be the captain. I tended to be very responsible. The way I prepared for things was very I had the off season and I would train. I would prepare well in advance. It just made sense to me. This is what you do. I wanted to know all the roles on the field. I could play lots of different positions. I wanted to be good at that. So we'll use lacrosse. I played midfield. I knew how to do the face-offs. I knew how to play defense. I could play offense. I was not the best at any of it, but I was good enough to hang all of it. But I also understood about trying to bring all the things together. I ended up becoming the captain on pretty much every team I've ever played on because I valued the understanding of what everything was going on. Okay. That's how I play. Now look, I understand what you're saying. I like the idea of how do you bring everybody together for a common goal. In the sport, it was winning. Now with entrepreneurism, it's, well, how do you achieve the goal for the clients? How do we collectively work together towards a common outcome? The coaching experience.
Got it.
That's why play is so important. But most people think of play as, oh, you're just playing. Knowing how and why you play naturally, what your inclinations are. So using a sport like that has a team sport or an individual sport, or if you're a goalie versus an offensive player.
I wonder how, so as a base, so like how that.
Okay, so what role does a base play?
Holds up the flyer.
So it's kind of the foundation.
That's why I've got these strong legs.
You have these strong legs. Okay.
And shoulders.
So one could look at it as you understand being a strong foundation makes way for a lot of other people, especially in your role in the educational space. You're the foundation. You're providing the foundation, especially with children, younger children, for where they will grow into.
Right.
You always talked about, I'm not just here to teach you math and English. I'm focusing on teaching you how to be a better person.
Yeah.
Those are the foundational tools.
Got it.
Perhaps that's what you're seeing. So that's why I asked that question.
Interesting. Some foundation.
Imagine that. So let's talk a little about the past year. You've gone through, speaking of a foundation, we already talked about how we've set up our foundation in our relationship. And we talked about the core values. And for the record, anybody who wants to know how Lexi described going about discovering her core values is exactly what they teach. It's called the anti-value method. We got that down. over the past year or so, we got focused on where are we going as a family? What do we actually want for ourselves? Where are we going to live? Where are we going to be? And over this past year, you looking to take on your new role that you've now very excitingly, started your new role in your career, another level up. In that process, not only have you taken over being more like us as a family being more financially responsible, you actually run basically the household finances. We talk about it and we collaborate together, obviously.
Yeah.
You've also up leveled yourself professionally, individually, but something else that's also happened along the way is you've had undergone a really powerful physical transformation. You're looking wonderful. I always thought you looked great, but even more so, your 6-pack abs and all that other jazz is popping, and you're getting tons of compliments. Talk a little bit about this past year, about you setting up this foundation for yourself and how you've seen it play out in the rest of your life, your relationship with me, and also in your career.
Okay, so the physical transformation. When did I start that? In April, I think. So not a year.
It was about 100 days out from when we went to Montenegro.
Yeah, just about. And at that point I had lost 13 pounds, like right before we left. That was more setting. That is more so because I'm continuing it. Is setting myself up for having a child. So I want to be in like the best physical and mental shape, because when my physical shape is good, my mental clarity is great. So that's what that's for. And also just to like be healthier in my body, of course. But the drive behind that was to get to a spot where I felt like I could have like a good, healthy pregnancy. And so for the first part of that transformation, I was doing 5:30 workouts in the morning. And that just helped me gain clarity over my schedule, I guess, because I was getting more time at home in the afternoons. I can't do that schedule anymore because of my new work schedule. But it gave me I feel like it lit the fire a little bit. There's that quote, it's like discipline over like motivation or something. And I don't like waking up early. I like it, but I like the initial get out of bed, I don't love. Once I'm up and moving, I'm fine. But like actually getting out of my warm, comfortable bed in the morning can be a struggle. So I feel like it just gave me a little bit of, it lit the fire to be a little bit more dedicated to myself and doing something like for me that I thought was hard, but had a great turnout, obviously.
So what I hear there, what I think people don't account for is that the transformation started around this time last year. Because it was around this time, September-ish, at the time of this recording, of 2022, where we had sat down and we were talking about, well, where are we going as a couple? Where are we going as a family? We had talked, you had said a lot of things. I want to buy a house, I want to have kids, I want all this other stuff. And I said, well, we haven't even merged our money. You're still, this is me sharing what I had seen with you. Your time is all over the place. All those things that you said when we talked about, hey, we're not showing up as the best versions of ourselves for our relationship. Us sitting down and sorting out the money was not so much about sorting out money together as a couple. It was more about, what do we value together? What is the purpose of this thing? What are we creating together? And I saw that laying the foundation for how you started adjusting your schedule. It looked easy to me once you decided, oh, well, I'm just going to wake up at this time. Hell, you had to.
I don't know if it was September. It was like February, March, April, because I started in April. Yeah.
I'm talking about when we started merging our finances. That was in September, October.
Yeah, okay, yes.
So right around this time.
And then like the other changes kind of came.
Yep.
I thought you were saying everything. Okay. Yes, and I did not want to combine finances.
Talk a little about that.
I am just a little, what's the word? I don't like to share, which is crazy because I teach sharing to kids and I like show them the value. But with certain things, I'm just very much of like, no, I want to be in control. It's just like, it's my type A personality. I want to be in control of it. I want this. That was hard. But now I'm like, I'm so glad that we combine and it's just one thing and I don't have to worry about 3 different things all the time. But I think that maybe it's like I'm not an only child, but my brother's so much older than me that maybe I have like a little bit of only child syndrome because it was really just like myself and my parents, like myself and my mom and my stepdad, and then myself just and my dad, and my brother's around. But growing up, he didn't live in that, like I didn't live in the house with him because he's 10 years older. So he was out already. So maybe I might have like a little bit of that.
Just not used to
It's
sharing.
mine. Yeah. But like this goes back way back because my mother will tell me stories of how she like gave our neighbor my clothes and I like didn't even fit into them anymore, but I threw a fit as a kid and was like, those are mine. So I have a little bit of like that's mine. Like I don't want to share. But I'm doing much better, aren't I?
You are.
I've really worked on it.
Well, you don't like being told what to do.
I don't like to be told what to do. I don't like to be told no. Okay, so maybe it's like the only child syndrome / maybe daddy's girl.
Mm.
And I've got like 2 great dads. So I'm like, it's like double whammy.
So what I think underneath all of that is more of a fear of accountability.
Maybe.
What was that like, kind of opening up that veil and saying,
To you?
Yeah.
With our finances?
Yeah.
It was okay. Honestly, because you don't check anything. So I could be lying to you and you have no idea. I don't lie to you, but that's a consequence of your own behaviors because you just trust me that much. So I don't feel like that was one thing. I didn't want to be told like what we could do with the money, with our money. Like if it could work, I want to be able to do it. But I don't feel like you'll sometimes be like, hey, did you need that? Maybe I'll explain. But for the most part, you don't really give me like crap about it ever. So I don't worry too much about that.
What did you learn about how I thought about money?
What do you mean?
So you think about money a certain way. I think about money a certain way.
I don't know what your way is. What do you have to tell me?
Oh, there it's different. Oh, okay.
You mean like your money to make money?
Sure.
Is that what you mean?
How do you view? Well, it's good for us to know. How do you view how I look at money?
I don't really know, actually.
I'll share with you.
It's gonna be fun. Okay.
I look at money as a tool for investing.
Okay, yeah, I did know that. That's what I meant by I said make money.
Yeah. So to me, money is about moving things along faster in the direction of where I want to go.
Okay.
And as that, it's just a tool to invest into relationships or to higher priority things. And what I've learned over time is that I'm usually willing to go without and sacrifice little things, especially when I'm clear on what I want. I'm willing to just cut out everything, sometimes a little more aggressively than others, in the pursuit.
That's the being nice. You're extreme.
In the pursuit of what I say matters to myself.
Mm-hmm.
So how have you seen that change
For you?
and and also what have you learned that's also benefited you in
that? I feel like you don't give yourself permission sometimes to do the nice thing or to get the nice thing for yourself. I have to like push you to be like, you can go get this. Which it's probably a little bit of like whatever your inner child, like that. It's like that talk. Whereas I'm sure like my spending of money can be like what I grew up with. But I think you've gotten a lot better at realizing. I feel like you're like, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel as though sometimes you think it's like the end of the world. Like if he makes one purchase on something that he like wasn't planning, like everything will fall to shambles.
Mm.
Am I correct?
Yeah, I put a lot of pressure on
Yeah.
making the right investment.
Right. And it's probably because you don't look at our accounts, because if you did, then you'd be fine. But yes, and you want to like know that your money is going somewhere to make money. Whereas I'm more like, I'm very like much like my father, where like we just want to like give and help and like do the nice things. But that can also not be great because you're going to spend a bunch of money and maybe you shouldn't be. So I think you've like tamed me in a little bit. I guess that's where the accountability does come in, because I'm, like I said, I never worry about it, but I do know, like, if I bought a bunch of things all at once, like you would know. So that's maybe where the accountability goes. And I have to like kind of ask myself sometimes, like, do we need this? Whatever. And big purchases we talk about. But I do feel like you've gotten better at the, like, you just went shopping the other day. And like that was a whole thing. I'm like, just get the freaking second pair of pants. Like you're gonna be fine. It was so annoying to see you like look at all of the clothes you had in a pile. Like, should I get all of them? And I'm like, what? It's $45 extra. What is the difference? And I always use this on you because you use this on me all the time. Like when you don't want to pay for something, like $20. Like if you don't want to pay for something, and you're not cheap by any means. That is not.
No,
You're not cheap, and I'm not cheap. So that's where we do. We have to like kind of bring each other in sometimes. But when you don't want to spend money on something, we always use the reference of like, you will literally spend $60 on dinner and not think a second thought about it. But like you buying one extra pair of pants for $45, you're like debating in the freaking dressing room. And I just want to go to dinner. So I feel like you've gotten better, but I think we use that on each other a lot, or at least I use it on you a lot when you don't want to pay. Like you paid $7 for something yesterday and you were debating it. I'm like, it's $7.
a lot of my stuff comes around, is this investment going to be worth it? I feel
so
very,
not everything is an investment. Some things,
hence the reason why it's important to know how people look at things differently,
yeah,
to help balance that out, because too much of my extreme
or mine,
is
yeah,
not healthy. So, this is a great thing for people to understand. I have no problem investing in relationships.
or yourself, like, or your mental health, like mentally and like physically, you'll spend anything
Yes.
and not worry. But like a new pair of pants, that's what we worry about.
Stuff.
Yeah, physical, like material things.
Yes.
But I am like, oh, I like to shop and I like nice things. I like a nice car. Not to say you don't like nice things, but you think like 3 times about it before you get it. Whereas I'm like, and your mother says, like, think about it for a week. And if you still are thinking about it, go get it. Well, guess what? I'm always thinking about it a week after. So that rule doesn't really apply to me, because if I went by that, I would get everything. So sometimes I really just have to cut myself off.
But I think it's important people hear the difference in how we both look at things.
Yeah.
And I try not to place a ton of value on material things, but it is also okay sometimes using external tools to shape how you feel. Sometimes when you how am I going to put this? You feel different when you wear a nice suit. You feel like you're showing up, put together,
Yeah.
organized. It does put your body essentially in a place for your mind to follow. And it's knowing when and how to not be so. That's an easy way to start justifying things, but you have to know your tendencies. So that for me, when I say I have no problem investing in relationships, investing in my health is a relationship with myself.
Yeah.
Because when I feel good, I know how to make money.
Yeah.
I know how to ask people good questions. I know how to be more present with people. I don't worry about that. And any type of investment in my knowledge and my sense of self-worth always pays me back tenfold. Stuff, I don't have the same type of track record, at least in my mind, even though it's probably not true. Sometimes using those tools to help, it's making sure that we're careful about that. And when I go out for dinner or meals, to me, I typically see that as I'm investing in an experience, not just in food. I'm investing in an experience where I get to share a meal with somebody, have a deeper relationship with them, and build something for the future. So that's important for people to understand that. And that's something we've been working through. This is not something that's going to go away. So there we go. How'd you like that? Careful with kicking that because you're going to make that shake. Let's move on to the second one.
Okay.
Second fun question.
All right.
What is your what's your desert island movie or show or both? You have one movie or one show
I can only watch forever
for the rest of your life.
Big Bang Theory is my show.
Okay.
It's just so dorky funny. I can just love it. I can watch that over and over. I don't know if I have a movie. Just one, maybe a Marvel movie.
What movie is that?
Because it's a little action, a little comedy.
Okay.
I really liked Endgame.
What about it do you like?
Marvel?
Endgame.
I just said. Oh. I think it's because it was the first Marvel I really got into and watched, and then I went back and watched all of them. And then the branch off series too.
What about the story is captivating to you?
I don't know if it's the storyline that is captivating. I like that there's action, but and I always laugh at the silly jokes. You don't always laugh at them, but I'm always laughing when they put a little comedy in. I think I just like that mixture.
Okay.
I don't know if it's the storyline that they save the world. I mean, that's great. Good job. But I just like action movies, and then I like a happy ending. That was somewhat of a happy ending. Until the second, whatever, or the follow-up. I think it's just the action and the comedy though.
And then Big Bang Theory.
Big Bang Theory, because it makes me laugh. Yeah, just funny and silly. Although I do want to watch it without the laughs.
The laugh track.
Yeah, and just see if there's maybe I don't because that might ruin it for me. I also love The Nanny, as you know.
So which is your choice here?
Dipping my toe back into The Nanny, but Caleb can't stand her voice.
Doesn't do.
I think it's so funny. Also, you've laughed at it though. There's been some big chuckles you've had just listening in the background.
So
Big Bang though is my.
I think it's interesting. So the reason why I've been asking that question specifically.
Tell me. Special underlying.
Yes.
Emotional. Okay.
Every one of these questions has deeper things to it.
I thought we were playing games today.
This is the game.
This is not a game.
Well, when we have our side podcast as a couple, you can.
Can we end with a funny game?
Sure. Whatever. I don't know what the game is though. We'll come up with it.
Okay.
Why I'm intrigued by that question. Obviously, I love movies. It's a big passion for me.
I'm gonna interject. I do like Wedding Crashers since I've watched it with you so many times. That's probably a funny one. I just like light and funny. All right, go ahead. Sorry. If you're with me on the desert island, I would allow you to take Wedding Crashers, is what I'm saying.
Notice how I was just given permission. This is what it really comes down to in my life. So why I think this is an interesting question is what people are drawn to of what they would want around. So something like Endgame being your thing and your reasons why are also what's intriguing to me. Because for you, yours are very and then it's not bad, but they were very surface level. I like some action and it makes me giggle.
Yeah.
It gives me a little ups and downs.
That's the point of television.
But that's your perspective.
Okay.
And then Big Bang Theory for you is it makes me giggle. It's light and funny. I don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
For me, I like a little bit of both, but I also want the depth. So for me, the show was Ted Lasso.
Oh, how did I not think of Ted Lasso?
I don't know.
All right. Can I bring two?
No, you get one.
What if Ted and Sheldon meet somewhere in the middle?
Yeah. Sheldon Lasso.
Yeah.
Ted and Sheldon's Excellent Adventure or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Ted Lasso is so good.
Yeah.
But but that was more of a meaningful show for us.
That's my point.
Also, there's more seasons in Big Bang, so it'd take me longer to get through. Kind of desert island by myself.
So as you can see, the difference of what I care about is that
Caleb would be on a desert island crying to himself with Ted Lasso. No one else around, but let me be in my feels.
Savage. What I'm bringing out is, I think I've told you about this, but I've told you one of my lessons from my father was the surface can be deep. And
I haven't heard this one.
Okay, so
I don't need the whole thing. You can tell me later. Go ahead.
Punchline is, he said about, one of the reasons why he just will send dog pictures and stuff like that in the family group chat, or just hit the like button on whenever somebody says something silly, is more it's about sometimes just being present is, well, even if it's surface level, it's just something that made people giggle for a moment. It doesn't have to be so heavy. That's very deep because you're just showing up. And people take for granted oftentimes just the consistency of that, even though it's surface level. But it is deep because of the value you're providing to somebody. And what you're talking about is, oh, this is light and funny. Maybe we don't need to take things so seriously all the time. It can just be that. And that's what I think is interesting about what you're talking about here. Whereas for me, I want something that's going to take me on the deep ride everywhere. But it's a great lesson for me on how.
No wonder you're like, never mind.
Say it.
Sometimes you're just like emotionally exhausted. Like, no wonder you're always putting yourself in these positions where you have to think so deep. Chill out.
Why do you think I married you?
Chill out. Just like enjoy the ride a little bit.
Well, for people that are listening right now, especially a lot of my clients, is that, and I don't know if you know this, but a lot of what I do for my clients half the time is giving them permission to chill out. Most people echo a lot of where I am. I put a ton of pressure on myself to be perfect on almost every decision, because I'm thinking about the 95 steps in the future that if I don't make this right now, I'm bad. And I've let everybody down. I feel like I'm carrying the weight of the world all the time.
Yeah.
So I have had to work very explicitly to bring people around me to say, yo, man, chill out. Don't take life so seriously.
Yeah.
And something that has come from even watching Big Bang Theory, because you're the one, I had already liked Big Bang Theory just from the little lightness, but most people don't know this, but we put that on almost every single night when we go to bed.
Well, even last night we started The Bear. Is it The Bear? The Bear or Bear?
It's called The Bear.
Okay. Well, we started that show.
It was a little heavy.
A little. I was getting worked up.
Yeah.
And then right before bed, I was like, I need like Big Bang on for one episode just to chill out for a second. But yeah, we put it on almost every night.
From that, ironically, just having that on every night, there's been plenty of nights where the more I heard the lines that they were saying, there was actually a lot of depth.
Yeah. Well, and this is like our fifth or sixth time going through.
Maybe 10th.
Yeah. We just keep going through the season. Like when we finish a season, we just start over when we finish the series, we start over at season 1 and we just watch. There are things that you pick up, just like Ted Lasso, though. The same thing happened with that. There was a couple episodes we watched for the second time and we didn't realize certain things were said or analogies or
there was a callback to a different episode or something.
Yeah, just things happening. So you learn, Big Bang Theory also had lots of, especially towards the end, they have a lot of deep moments.
Yeah.
Sometimes we skip the last season because I get sad when they're gonna end. So we skip that and then start over.
Yeah. But that's why I like that question, because not only did I always love movies and cinema, I used to kind of poo-poo idea of creative film and things like that. I thought people got too deep into all of it. Ironic, of course. But now I see the value in the storytelling, and it's interesting for me to how people arrive at the entertainment. And I was starting to see the value in what entertainment can provide. And it's also something for people to start to be very mindful, I think, of. Most people, we have Big Bang Theory on in the background at night, every night.
Yeah.
The voices and the statements they're making and those types of things, sometimes if you're not, it's essentially like hypnosis. You're just drowning your mind in these thoughts. And I think people don't think about, especially when you become emotionally invested in a story, it's taking you on that ride as well. And it's showing you something about what you're connecting to. So I think there's a lot of value in that, and taking a new lens at what entertainment is. And why would you want that piece of entertainment to take you on the journey for the rest of your life? So for me, I think of something like Ted Lasso. I'm like, well, that speaks a lot to my life. And I feel like that's on repeat, I can learn more lessons about myself. So there you go.
What's your movie?
It was Wedding Crashers.
Oh, okay. So I was right.
Yeah. So you know me. You know me pretty well. Are you taking a look at the time? Already getting tired of dealing with me?
We going a while.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Hey, can we play a game now?
What's the game you want to play?
I don't know.
I don't have a game other than one more question.
What's the last question?
The last question is this. What's your deathbed meal?
Okay.
And whom are you sharing it with? With whom are you sharing it with?
Can I have multiple people?
As many as you want.
Okay, so my parents and you.
That was a question mark. And you, maybe.
My immediate family I would want to share it with. So you, my brother, my parents.
Okay.
I don't know. Can I have a buffet?
Whatever you describe your buffet. Describe it all.
I would want some like steak and potatoes. I would want some tacos from the Daisy. Some nachos from the Daisy. Or from anywhere, really. I'd take nachos. A margarita. Maybe a glass of Sauvignon Blanc. If I'm gonna die, I can go all out. Steak, potatoes, nachos, tacos, and a burger.
Just
wait, maybe like some pasta too. I need a buffet.
Okay, you can have
sushi.
And sushi, okay.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Okay, so why are all these your choices for your food? Let's go with that.
They're just my favorites, I think.
They're in your
Love
routine.
pasta. And we don't eat it that often. So that's like my special meal when I enjoy it. I'm definitely just a steak and potato person, but I also love burgers. Tacos are so
What
good.
kind of burger you have? You got to dress this thing up. You can't just be plain Jane. Yeah, because we know
No.
you're not plain Jane.
No. Cheeseburger with some mushrooms and pickled onions or caramelized onions. Pickled onions on the tacos. Just basically all the foods we go out and eat. I just want to buy of them before I die.
So it's almost like you want a sample of your life.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
Mm-hmm. Why are those the people on your deathbed? For each reasons.
My parents are like my number ones. I mean, you're my number one too, but you're my significant other, so it's different.
Okay.
Love my parents. I mean, they're my immediate family, and then you. Oh, I guess if I have kids, I'd like them there. I forgot about them though. Tyson.
The dog.
If he's not around, then I would like his ghost present.
Okay. Do you know why I asked this question?
Why?
It's my version of who's holding your hand on your deathbed.
Oh, so who's holding yours? I'm
having my last meal with you.
That's it?
Yeah.
Oh, not anyone else? Not even a ghost of Tyson's past?
I think
he's offended.
You know this, but I will share it for those who have not heard before.
Okay.
You know.
Come on. Bless you. Come on.
The people are going to have some wild sound effects. Whoever's just listening to this and doesn't have the context of what your face and where you're looking and where your attention is going. It's a small miracle that you keep as focused as you have already. Because you get distracted quite easily.
Bless you.
So you know my whole window in the mirror speech.
Yes.
And you know this is a love note that I wrote.
Yes.
My views. Yes. Hey, Ty.
As we were sleeping on the way home from somewhere?
No, you were sleeping on the plane.
From Charleston?
From Charleston. And you were my muse as I wrote this speech.
So cute. Was I snoring with my mouth open?
You were definitely snoring with your mouth open.
Come on.
Pick him up.
Come on. Oh, he wants to come for the finale.
So the idea and what I believe is that we are all each other's mirror.
Mm-hmm.
So you are showing me something about myself and you're teaching me something about myself. And I believe on our deathbed, the person that is sharing that moment with you, if you can choose it, even better, but sometimes even maybe more prophetically, even if you couldn't choose it, the person you end up there is the final mirror of all you've accomplished in your life. This is the final potential. And I believe that shows you like who you are.
Oh,
what you've risen to in your life. So that's why I think it's so important. And I think it was quite fitting of the type of food you chose. You're wanting a sampling of your life.
yeah.
And I think you know this, but one of my favorite things to do is share a meal with people because I believe your beliefs, your likes, your dislikes, your tastes, your experiences, your life, your culture, all comes out on the plate. And I think that is quite symbolic of how you go about life, how you choose to eat, your diet, quite literally.
Hmm.
And that's why I think that, yes, on the surface it sounds silly, but that's why it opens to something like that.
Gotcha.
So those are my thoughts around that.
Okay.
Cool. You want to have a game? You want to play a game?
Yeah.
I feel like you ever seen the movie Saw?
No.
You've never seen the movie Saw?
The
Well,
scary movie?
Yeah.
No.
I'm not a horror flick anyway.
I'm not a horror anything.
I get it.
Although I'm liking Halloween more and more, but I think it's just because I want to dress up a child.
Ty, you'll probably have a costume this year too, buddy. What kind of game do you want to play before we leave?
I don't know. I honestly thought you had one ready.
I did not. Those were my games. My questions are my games.
Okay, we need to define next time what your interpretation of something is because I thought we were playing a game this whole time, not talking deep.
So on our side project, Nelson's in Real Life podcast, or whatever we call our couple podcast.
Yeah.
I will let you be in charge of the games.
Okay.
Okay.
So give me your phone.
Right now?
Do you want to play a game? It's called Using Your Resources.
Okay, here you go.
I would get mine, but it's too far.
Okay.
Tyson, you're being
very needy.
Very inconsistent of what you would like.
Welcome to every single time I have a podcast with anybody. Ty wanders around.
I love the one paw on my leg.
If you are watching, you actually get to see Ty right now on the screen. He's just sitting there with he's basically mean mugging it.
He just twitched.
Okay, what's the game we're playing?
I need a second to do some research here.
Stop.
Are you hungry?
I'm getting hungry. I told you I was hungry. All this talk about deathbed meals and you listed off all of our favorite places to go.
We'll ask a few of these.
Okay. Oh, so we're just going rapid fire with questions here.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna go back and forth. Both of us are answering these? Okay, fire away.
Okay. Hold on. I'm gonna go out of order. I'm just gonna ask random ones. We'll each do 5. How about that?
Okay.
Okay. What's making you feel alive lately? What a question for Caleb.
What's making me feel alive? So most people don't know this, but every quarter I essentially, or for a 3 or 4 month clip, I decide what my priority is. So it goes between 3 different things. It goes between health, relationships, and business. And I decided that this stretch is all about relationships. So feeling alive this of late has been getting back into giving mode and just being of service to the people of my life. I feel very alive. Like when somebody feels appreciated, I can hold space. When I feel like I've given something to you of value or made you feel special, that makes me feel alive.
Okay. What's your priority for this quarter?
I just told you. Relationships.
Did you say it?
Relationships.
Oh, I thought you just meant me. You told me it was me.
Well, you were the impetus for that reflection. And then I was like, oh, I could go deeper with all my relationships. Okay. How can I provide more value to the people that are in my life?
Okay. Ready?
What's making you feel more alive?
No, you don't get to ask me that.
Oh, okay. Oh, this is just towards me.
You get 5 questions and then you can pick 5 questions for me. Got it? Don't ask me that one though. Okay. I only did that because that was a you question.
Oh, okay.
What was your first impression of me?
I thought you were a bitch. I had complimented your shoes, and you just
my orange Nikes.
You gave me this smug look, and I was just like, "Oh, okay."
Starstruck.
You were clearly starstruck. I was just this incredible human being. I wasn't trying to hit on you or anything. I was just trying to be nice, and you're
such a. That's BS. You were not trying to hit on me.
Nope.
Oh.
I was dating somebody else at the time.
Oh yeah.
So I was not trying to hit on
And
you.
you're just being nice.
I was in my place of work. This was before I had gone through the separation of
That was your only first impression? They just didn't like me?
you were not nice. You just like a smug. I gave you a nice compliment. I was like, this is cool.
I don't think I was mean. I think I said thank you.
You were so shut off. You're like, just like that. It was just cut off. I was
Okay.
like, okay.
I don't think I was that mean.
I mean, here I'm married to you now. Clearly, I love you.
Clearly. Um
Not a fan.
me?
Yeah,
That's so mean. Okay. I know the answers to so many of these.
that's a good thing.
Can you remember a perfect day from your past? Hopefully it's not with an ex-girlfriend. Just kidding.
I don't really have like a perfect day from my past.
I could think of a couple for you.
Like what?
Our wedding day.
That was perfect. That was a high stress environment.
We eloped. How
I
is
know
that high
it was
stress?
still stress building up to it. Like that was like
What about your trip with your father?
that was a good time.
The day we moved in together. I
You
don't
know what's
remember
funny?
that day.
Anytime big leaps in our life, you know what I end up doing? I end up throwing out about like at least half of the things that I currently possess at that time.
Well, good thing you
When
married
we
someone with
when,
style.
when we moved in together, I literally threw out an entire room of stuff, an entire room.
I think an entire apartment.
That was half of my apartment. I had a 2-bedroom apartment and in one room, all of it was gone.
Okay. What's something you wish you were better at? We're gonna move on from this one.
Something I wish I was better at.
Yeah.
Mm, I wish I was more like musically gifted.
Okay.
What?
I just thought you were gonna say more.
No, leave it simple.
All right, you got two more, right?
Sure.
Okay, what did you want to be when you were younger? What did you want to grow up to be? Like, did you ever want to be something when you were like tiny?
Like job.
Yeah.
I always struggled with that. I never knew what I wanted to be.
Makes so much sense.
It always centered around like health, sport-ish type of things, medicine type of things.
Okay.
But that's something like my entire life that I've
Okay.
struggled with.
All right. Well.
The only thing I've ever been certain of in this life is that I wanted to be a father. The only thing.
That's cute.
For the record, anybody who's listening right now, at the time of this recording, no, she is not pregnant.
No. Do you believe in fate?
Yes.
Okay, you're up.
And I think fate arrives. It's a multi-layered question for me. I do believe fate arrives at your doorstep, but I do believe in free will. And I believe that fate is more a sense of the circumstance. It's a lesson that you must learn. And it's your choice to walk that path at that time.
Okay.
And if
so it matters in your own hands.
It's your choice to face it when you face it. And if you don't, it will be even harder if you choose not to face it then later on.
Okay. Trying to ask you the same ones.
Okay.
Pick appropriate ones.
What's one thing I don't know about you?
One thing you don't know about me? Um,
Can you stop kicking the table,
sorry.
please?
One thing you don't know about me. I was in a play.
You were in a play?
Yeah, Annie.
What role did you play?
I don't know, ensemble. What's that? Orchestra. So the side girl with a bunch of other people. That was a one and done deal, just so you know.
I figured. What's an album you could listen to every single day?
An album?
Like music.
Probably Eminem.
Eminem? Okay.
I could listen to him every day.
What's your worst habit?
Zillowing.
I call it Zillow porn. Every night before you go to bed, everybody's listening, and I feel like all the men out there are gonna have this problem as well.
I should have picked something
She just
else.
pulls up Zillow
I like to know the
and
options.
scrolls. That's the last thing that gets downloaded into her brain every night. What's your favorite season and why?
This is a hard one because I am summer through and through, love warm weather, but I do like fall. So, Saul.
So right now,
No, it's not fall.
this is right between summer and fall.
No, I just like both of them. So I like both. So
Right.
that's why I said Saul. You want to say summer? Just notice the difference in our answers.
Yeah, clearly. Let's see. If you had to choose one sense to lose, which one would it be?
Ooh. Definitely not taste because I like to eat.
Okay.
Smell. I could go without smell.
You know,
Especially living with you.
That would affect your ability to taste.
Oh. Okay, I guess not smell. I want to see, I want to hear touch, but I don't have hands.
You couldn't touch, you couldn't feel.
I don't know if I like this question.
It's not about liking or not. Which would you go without?
Are you sure I can't taste without smell?
It affects a lot of it.
Like a lot of it, or just like
Yes,
some of it?
significantly. Think about when people couldn't smell or taste anything with COVID.
I did go through that. I could not smell, but I could taste.
Not as well.
I don't remember that. I'm gonna go smell because
Okay.
you're stinky sometimes.
Jesus. If you could be one age for the rest of your life, what age would you choose? Stop kicking the table.
I'm gonna go with 30.
Right now.
Right now.
Why?
I feel like I've gone through a big growth year going from 29 to 30 this year. And I'm on to bigger and better things. I don't know. I feel a little more free right now and happy. And I'm assuming it just gets better. So Tyson wants to make sure he says bye to the people.
Cool.
I'm gonna say right now, 30s.
30. Loving the age that you're currently at.
Yeah.
How about that?
Well, yeah.
Cool. So that was 5 questions. What are your final thoughts? What do you want to leave the audience with today?
I thought I was getting myself into a fun game, but he cornered me into talking about feelings. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Mm-hmm. You will be forever in charge of our side project podcast then. You get to be in charge.
I can bring games.
You can bring games.
All right, next time we'll just do one game.
We'll do games and then talk about.
You got me for like an hour. Good job.
This is
the longest podcast
small miracles.
ever.
Small miracles that I have accomplished. Final thoughts, wisdom you'd like to leave the audience with?
It's pumpkin season.
It's pumpkin spice season. Oh my god. PSLs.
Have any inspiring thoughts? Is that what you're thinking?
Clearly,
I'm sure you do though.
I don't. This was a podcast about you today and us. So that's all we got.
We love you.
From Tyson, clearly this one. We're all good. Thank you everybody for listening today. Thank you for sharing your time and your energy. Thank you for tolerating some of our silliness. And as always, the little boy as he's waving into the video. Love you all. I hope you found some value. Share this with a friend.
Be a good human.
Be a good human. Is that usually your thing? Mine is love everybody.
Mine's be a good human.
Cool. So be a good human. Until next time, I remind you.
Use your manners.
To love everybody.